So setting gain so you don't blow shit up can be quite hard to do if you don't have an O-scope or a multimeter. The multimeter in a way is kind of iffy. Um, it the best way to set the gain is to know where your head unit distorts. My DEH X6500BT distorts at 58 out of 62 on the volume, so I can play it clean up to 58, but I have my gain set to 54 because when I play through Bluetooth, it's quieter because if you play full volume through Bluetooth, most of the time it's distorted even before it gets to the head unit. So play clean to 54 when I'm playing off USB, the radio, CDs, it's clean up to 54. And I can turn it up that extra few to 58 to get the max out of my head unit, because it doesn't matter how clean the signal is going into your head unit. Once you start crossing over the 58 bridge, you're distorting. Your head unit cannot get any louder or amplify it anymore. Okay? That's what distortion is. The ability of the amplifier is maxed. And basically all you're using your head unit for is your pre-outs, even though you're using the built-in amplifier, if I remember correctly, for your door speakers, whereas I have a 4-channel amplifier on all my aftermarket door speakers. So basically what you want to do, if you're playing with the internal amplifier of your head unit, of course it's going to clip before your pre-outs will. My head unit will clip between 40 to 45 with the built-in amplifier, 58 with the pre-outs. Can you see how big of a difference that is? So you can go ahead, turn this up to whatever you start hearing your door speakers distort. Leave your gain set to 0 minimum, whatever the lowest it'll go to, on your amplifier, because we're not messing with that yet. We're trying to find where the head unit distorts, and then we're going to match up the amp to the head unit. So when you find out what this distorts at, basically you want to go ahead and, so say it distorts at 45. Go ahead, set it to 45. Find yourself a test tone to set this with. Now, it's not recommended fully because the test tones tend to distort a bit before, say, music does. Like, I distort at 54, but I can keep going on. I distort at 54 with a test tone. I can keep going up to 62 with music, which I know is distorted, and it still sounds fine. So that's how you know don't use music, because we're trying to get a ballpark area. Because if you're missing a few 1 or 2 dB because you don't know exactly where your head unit distorts, big whoop-de-doo. It's better than replacing audio equipment every other week because you keep blowing shit up because you're distorting. And, get a voltmeter too, so you can watch your voltage. Right now, I'm off my battery, and my battery is not in the healthiest of conditions, even though it's fucking brand new. But that song's over. So I'm playing a test tone from the DD1 song, or the DD1 disc, which is the distortion detector that Steve Mead basically designed, DMO engineering designed for him. And I just like it because they're lossless files. You can put it onto a flash drive, iPod, CD, whatever you may need to put it onto. And they're minus 10 dB, minus 5 dB, and minus 0 dB. Right now you can see it's playing at 1 kilohertz, minus 10 dB. So if we go back one, we're at minus 40 dB, or minus 5 dB, 40 kilohertz, or 40 hertz. I apologize. Jesus freaking Christ, can't speak. So to set your highs, basically play a 1 kilohertz test tone off this disc, which you can get for free, at minus 5 dB is what I like to set it at. So I'll go ahead, turn it up until you hear the sound change. Make sure you're not even going to, don't worry about your amplifier now. So I actually started distorting there at 53. So you'll hear the tone change. If you're playing deaf if you can't hear it change. So now that you found out, say, okay, cool, my head unit's cleaned up to 54 or whatever the hell it plays clean to, depending on what source you're using. If you're using it as if you're using your pre-outs or your internal amplifier. Now, that's clean play. That's played clean here. Go ahead and switch to, let's see here, 40 kilohertz. Let's see here, minus 5 dB. Go back to your amp. Make sure your gains are set all the way down. Turn your bass knob up to about half to 3/4, because when you turn them all the way up, they get distorted. So, say you go ahead to 3/4 on your knob from your amplifier. Make sure your EQ and all that bullshit on your head unit is turned to 0. Bass boost and all that crap, turn it off. Because that is nothing but subwoofer blower and shit like that. It does not help at all. So, you're going to go ahead and turn your head unit back up to whatever it distorts at. So, mine distorts at 53. Turn it to 53. We'll turn that down. And we're going to go back to our amplifier. We're going to start turning our gain up slowly until we hear the tone on the subwoofer change. Once it changes, you back it down a little bit till it's clean again. Your gain is set. Don't be going above, 3/4 of the way on your gain knob. Don't be going above whatever your preamp is set at. That is to match your amplifier to your head unit. That prevents distortion. And you need to get one of these, a voltmeter. Doesn't necessarily have to be this one. Something that'll get you in the ballpark to see what your voltage is dropping to. Hell, I've used a multimeter from Harbor Freight connected to the battery before. But the best place to connect it is right at your amplifier to see what voltage your amplifier is getting. We don't care what's going on at the battery. We care what's coming through your wire going to your battery. That's what you need to know. Once it starts getting in the 12 volt range, stop. What you want to look for, you want something in the 14, 13 volt range. So you can see I have 14.8 at idle, which is astonishing, very good voltage. So I honestly doubt my 4-channel amplifier will make my voltage drop much. We'll go ahead and try. But watch this. Let's see here. Something with lots of bass in it.
Man, what's happening, man? I told the whole floor, man. I say, damn right, they got it. 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 Hey, damn right, they got it.
So basically, you can see there that my voltage is not moving at all. Of course, you have an amplifier drawing.
Damn right, they got it.
Well, that's annoying. Of course, you have an amplifier that's drawing, 100 amps? A possibility of 100 amps. My alternator personally is 130 amp. I know yours is like 75 or something. So that's not helping you. You need high output. And you need a deep cycle. It doesn't need to be a big battery. You don't need to replace your starting battery. Although you need to make sure you charge your battery every so often to keep it, because AGMs and wet cells have different charging characteristics. AGMs need to be charged at a lower voltage for a longer period of time than a wet cell. So just charge it every few weeks with actually, I have a charger right here that is meant for AGM. So, get a charger that's meant for AGM and charge them every so often so you don't kill the life of your battery. Because if you go ahead, you're playing your system full tilt to the place you get to, and then you instantly shut off your car, your batteries will not be fully charged. So, I don't know. I mean, that's the best help I can give you right now with what you're working with. I mean, shit. I don't know. You need to monitor your voltage, though, because your amp will go up in smoke if you don't fucking take care of it. If you don't watch your voltage. The lowest I'd go to is the high 11s, honestly. So watch that. Especially with those Brutus amplifiers, they do not do rated power unless they're high 13s, 14s. They're not very efficient amplifiers, so they take a lot of voltage, a lot of power to make their power versus a higher quality amp. So you know how that goes. But hopefully you learned a little bit from it, and I'll be talking to you later anyway. So whatever.